All right, Algebra 1. We are continuing with elimination today. The only difference is last time we had opposites, or all we had to multiply by was -1. So the steps are still the same. We just might have to multiply by something besides 1 or -1. So step 1, we are still going to make sure they're lined up. So line them up. Them meaning the x's, the y's, the equal signs, and the constants. Step 2, multiply to make opposites. Okay? And that'll make more sense once we have a few examples, but multiply to make opposites. So for example, we need 3 and -3, or 2 and -2 for x or y. Okay, we only need opposites for one of them. So 3x, -3x, or 2y, -2y, one or the other. We don't need both to be opposites. Okay, and so step 3, add equations together. Add the equations together to eliminate x or y. And then from there, you just use substitution again, just like we did yesterday. Okay? So let's go through some examples here. So as I look at these, I'm trying to get rid of either x or y. So I'm thinking about what could I multiply? Well, 3 doesn't go into 7, so I'm not going to be doing that. Okay, so instead, x and 2x, I can multiply this one by -2 so that I get -2x and +2x. Okay. So when I do that, I'm going to rewrite the top one. I got to multiply that by the whole thing. So -2 times x, -2 times 3 is -6y, -2 times 6 is -12. And then the bottom one stays the exact same. 2x minus 7y equals -1. And now that I have opposites here, I can go ahead and add these together. So -2 plus 2 gets rid of the x, which is what I wanted. -6 plus -7 is -13y. -12 plus -1 is -13. And now I solve. So divide by -13. Negative divided by negative is +1. And so I've got my first one, and now all I have to do is plug it back in. So I'm going to just choose the top one because it looks a little easier. So that's x plus 3 times 1 equals 6. So I just plugged in y, 1 for y in the top equation. So that's x plus 3 equals 6. Subtract 3. I get x equals 3. And so my final answer, x comma y, 3 comma 1. And there we go. So the idea is to get opposites for x or y. So you got to just kind of figure out what goes into the other. Well, same thing on number 2. 2 doesn't go into 9. So I try this one. 1 goes into 3. All I have to multiply by is 3. But I want these to be opposites. So I'm going to multiply by -3 because I want 3 and -3. Okay? So the top one stays the same. Didn't change that one. But the bottom one now is -3 times 2 is -6x. -3 times 1 is -3y. And -3 times 5 is -15. And then we go ahead and add them together again. So since these are opposites, that's exactly what I wanted, to eliminate one of those. Okay? So 9 plus -6 is 3x equals 12 plus -15 is -3. Then solve for x. divide by 3, x equals -1. Plug it back in. I'm going to choose the bottom one, again, just because it looks a little easier. So it's 2 times -1 plus y equals 5. So that's -2 plus y equals 5. Get the y by itself by adding 2. And I get y equals 7. And so x comma y, -1 comma 7. And there we go. So I eliminated x on the first problem, and then I eliminated y on the second problem. It doesn't really matter which. You just got to figure out which one is going to work out nicer. Okay. So let's do another couple here. Okay, 3 doesn't go into 5, so let's do this one. This time, though, they already have opposite signs. So I don't need to multiply by -4. I just need to multiply by 4 because it's going to be -4 and +4. So multiply the top. That's 4 times 3 is 12x. 4 times -1 is -4y equals 4 times 14, which is, drawing a blank, 56. Okay. And so the bottom one doesn't change. Everything stays the same there. And I'm ready to go ahead and add them together. So 12 plus 5 is 17x. The y's cancel. And I get 68. Excuse me. Divide by 17. I get x equals 4. At least I think that's 4. I'm going to double check my math there. 68 divided by 17. Okay, I was right. So x equals 4, then plug it back in. I'm just going to go ahead and do the top one. So that's 3 times x, which was 4, minus y equals 14. And so that's 12. And then I subtract 12 to the other side. Get -y equals 2. Divide by -1. And I get y equals -2. And so x comma y for -2. And there we are. Okay. Let's go ahead and finish out this page, why don't we? Okay, so here's an interesting one because you could really do either one of these. Okay, you can multiply the top one by -5 to make it 5 and -5. Or you could multiply this one by 2 to make it 2 and -2. So that's kind of up to you. Okay, if you want to try the other way that I do, just to see if it's the same answer, you can. I'm going to go ahead and do -5 though. So I'm going to eliminate the x. So -5 times x is -5x. -5 times y is -5y. -5 times -3 is +15. And then the bottom one doesn't change. And so I'm ready to go ahead and add those two together. X cancels like I wanted. -7y equals -35. Divide by -7. Negative divided by negative is +5. And then I'm going to plug that back into the easier equation. That's x plus 5 equals -3. So I subtract 5, and I get x equals -8. So x comma y, -8 comma 5. And there we are. Okay. And so let's do the last one here and we'll be done. So 2 doesn't go into 3. This one will work though. I just multiply by not 3, because that would be -3 and -3. But negative times negative would make it positive. So the top isn't going to change. But the bottom now is going to be negative 3 times 2 is negative 6x. Negative times negative is positive 3y. And then negative times negative again is positive 15. Excuse me. And we go ahead and add those together. Y cancels. We get negative 3x equals 12. Divide by negative 3. And I have x equals negative 4. And then we just plug that back into whichever one. I'm going to choose the bottom one. So 2 times x, which is negative 4, minus y equals negative 5. That's negative 8 minus y equals negative 5. Add 8 to both sides. That's negative y equals 3. Divide by negative 1, and we get y equals negative 3 for our final answer. So x comma y, negative 4, negative 3. Final answer. Okay. So we've got a backside here, more examples. You can use those as practice if you want, but your homework is going to be the worksheet 2 through 10 evens. Okay, so get to it. Email me if you have any questions. Peace.